No, I don't want it to look like that. Oh, that switched fast. Good morning. Hopefully you can see this. Put a one in the comments or something to let me know that you can see this and that everything is working out. I'm trying a new platform this morning, so hopefully it'll look a little bit better. I'm gonna remove the glasses so we don't have that glare off the window. Good morning. If you're part of the Elevate Success Path team, welcome. Hopefully you're watching it live. If not, hopefully you're watching it on replay. And of course, those of you who are watching on YouTube, welcome. Today's lesson, and I know it's been a couple weeks, but today's lesson, I want to talk about intentional congruence. Now, that sounds like a lot of big words, but what I mean is that everything you do feeds into the one thing you want. So, like when people ask you, David, what do you do? I often hesitate. Why? Well, the truth is, I do a lot of things. I mean, I do leadership coaching, I do marketing, I do real estate, I do writing, I own businesses. I mean, at the end of the day, that is a loaded question. And maybe you find yourself as an entrepreneur or a small business owner in the same boat. You're like, well, I do the work and I do the books and I do the this and I do the that and I jump in and do the this. And so when somebody asks you, hey, what do you do? You're just like, oh, what do I say? But here's the thing, it's not that I have many things. I have one thing, it just shows up in many ways. It's called intentional congruence. Intentional, meaning you choose it, and congruence, it all aligns. That means everything you do is intentionally aligned to your core purpose. Well, what is that? What is my core purpose? Well, that is the one thing that you've got to find for yourself. For me, my one purpose is freedom and impact. Freedom and impact. Everything that I do is because I want to bring freedom and impact. Could be financial freedom, could be time freedom, the ability to go and do and be available or not be available. Everything that I do is geared to that. And that freedom requires finances. That freedom requires the ability to produce something. Now, the second half of that is impact. I want to be able to serve others, help people grow. You see, every decision I make and every opportunity I consider runs through that filter. And is it going to lead or help provide that freedom that I need? And will it help me provide an impact that I so desire to do in this world? So as you begin to look at your own life, I think it's funny. Let me break here for a second, but it's not about the things you do, it's about your purpose. And does it feed your purpose? I know a lot of you follow me on social media. And if you don't, follow me on all the channels as David A. Specht. But if you look at my social media, you could tell that I do many things. There may be a post about real estate because I love the idea of helping somebody make a decision about one of the biggest things in their lives. I love helping people, search for their unicorn home or help them, move on to the next thing. It's not always a moving up. But then you might see another post about my grandkids, or then you might see another post from church, or then you might see another post of some how I fixed my grill yesterday, and you can see the post about that. The truth of the matter is that they all are part of that one thing in my life. So let's break this myth. Most people think that I need to find my one thing, that I need to stay in one lane, that if I do multiple things, I'm unfocused. But here's the thing, your one thing doesn't have to be one activity. Your one thing can be one purpose expressed through multiple avenues. Confusion comes when your activities don't align. Clarity comes when they do. And I felt this so many times over the last several years as I began to put more and different things on my plate, uh, to where, look, I'm like, am I fragmented? Am I dabbling? Am I doing a little here, a little there with no real um, successful outcome in any? But then I took that step back and I realized that the leadership and coaching that I do here, that leads to that impact. That feeds that impact for me. Doing marketing and media, whether it is doing a podcast, whether it is doing social media, whether it is designing a sign, whatever the thing is, even the work I do with the newspapers and the business magazine in Louisiana, it all those feed impact. They also feed the freedom because those are things that actually can produce the resources necessary to have the freedom to do the impactful things. Then as I pivoted, most recently into real estate, and I've been doing this now for almost 4 months. By the way, it was over a year to get to I'm doing this for 4 months. Long story, I'll tell you again later. But real estate brings that freedom and impact. Obviously, the potential for income is elevated in real estate, especially here in Middle Tennessee, where like here in Rutherford County, I think the median price for a home is somewhere around $460,000. I mean, you do the math. It doesn't take many commissions at that level to really move the needle financially for somebody. But it also provides that impact because real estate transactions are more than transactions. They are the beginnings of relationships, or they maybe even extensions of relationships, because a lot of people do business with people they know. Everybody knows somebody in real estate in their family, in their circle. And so it could be an extension of that impactful relationship. And then if you follow me, you read my blogs, you read my book, as you see over my shoulder there, that's part of that impact. Did I make any money on the book? Not enough to move the needle. But the results, when somebody texts me and says, man, chapter 6 or chapter this, or your book really spoke to me or reminded me of something that I'd forgotten long ago, that's that impact. And so when you look at all of those things, they may look different on the surface, but underneath, they all serve the same mission. Now, there's a flip side to this coin if you don't have alignment. When there's no alignment, you feel scattered. You chase opportunities. The shiny thing in front of you is the next thing that you're going after, and you just don't ever settle. You don't ever consider. You say yes to things that don't fit, and you get busy, but you're not fulfilled. That's not diversification. That's distraction. Oh, I'm over here in financial services. Oh, I'm over here selling, health products. Oh, I'm over here working on this. If it's not intentional and feeding into something that is congruent to what your one thing is, then you're just distracted. I like to tell people that I have Project ADD because I do a lot of things. If you looked at my office on a Monday, which is the production day for the weekly newspapers, and I'm involved in that even though I'm here in Tennessee. And then you see that coupled with the real estate, coupled with, the training couple, you would think, how does David keep it all straight? David doesn't keep it all straight. And the bouncing back and forth is just kind of the nature of that beast. But they're all geared to that purpose. They're geared to being in it. And so I time block when as much as possible so that I can switch tasks. You can't multitask, but you can switch tasks. And so as you begin to contemplate this entire concept of intentional congruence, I want to ask you these questions, and you need to ask them of yourselves. And those of you on the podcast, you need to ask them of yourselves. If you're driving, think about it. If you're running, you're at the gym, you're walking, you're mowing the grass, think about these core questions. You ready? Number one, what is my core driver? Why do I do what I do? Why am I doing these things? Is it freedom? Is it impact? Is it security, creativity? Well, David, I just want to feed my family. Great. What are you doing there? Well, David, I just want to move out of my parents' house. Great. What are you doing there? Which leads to the second question you should answer. Do my current activities align with that? Do my current activities align with that? Look, I can get really, really busy, okay? I'm really good at getting busy. And I've developed enough skills over time to where I can lock in and build a website, or I can lock in and do a thing, or I can get, I can me and ChatGPT can figure out just about anything. But do they align with those core purpose? Do those activities, or are they simply time sucks? Which leads to the third question. What am I doing that doesn't belong? Look, if your goals are to feed your family, if your goals are to have impact or freedom, and you are only doing the bare minimum for the bare number of hours necessary to where you don't get fired, or for my small business people, you're only doing just enough to keep the business from going under, those other things you're doing, they probably don't belong. In fact, if you get so busy working in your business that you never work on your business, it's time to offload some of those busy activities. And it's hard, especially when it's your baby. I know nobody's going to do it the way you do it. Nobody loves your dog as much as you love your dog, but you also can't do it all, especially if the things that you're doing are not feeding your purpose. You're not being intentionally congruent, you're being unintentionally distracted. So here's my challenge for you. You ready? Don't eliminate everything, align everything. Well, what do you mean by that? I'm saying make sure that the activities that you are doing are congruent with the purpose, with your one thing that you want to accomplish, that you want to gain, that you want to do, what you want to be. My friend Chad Free says, we're not human beings, we're not human doings, we're human beings. Who do you want to be, and how can you do the things necessary to feed that and make that the thing? You don't need fewer things. You need better alignment. So when everything you do points in the same direction, momentum becomes inevitable, because everything is feeding everything that feeds the one thing. And when you have that, you have something really, really special. Guys, I hope this resonated with you. Again, follow me on all the social channels. For those of you on YouTube, for those of you on the podcast, please subscribe so that we know that this is making an impact on the communities around us. Again, I'm going to go back to my old phrase, applied